Ciao everyone and welcome back to a new episode of Learn Italian with Songs. Today is a very special episode because today is a very special day. In fact, today is the 25th of April, which is in Italy, but in all Italian hearts, a celebration, a holiday, whatever nice and good you can think of, because today in Italy it is celebrated, and outside of Italy by all Italian, or at least I hope, it is celebrated the so-called Festa della Liberazione, Freedom Day. We could translate it. You might also know it as Anniversario della Liberazione d'Italia, Anniversario della Resistenza, or simply and more often simply 25 aprile, 25th of April, 25 of April. And buon 25 aprile indeed. This is, as I was saying, a national holiday. Of course, it is a holiday in Italy. Outside of Italy, it is not, but for us outside of Italy, it is a celebration in our hearts. And what is this freedom, this liberation about? What is this celebration about? Well, the liberation of Italy from the Nazist occupation and the end of fascism. So basically the win of the resistance against Nazi fascism and generally speaking the liberation of Italy. Both from the occupation and the regime. So, how do I celebrate this with you all? Bringing to you the explanation of one of the most powerful and symbolic songs related to this holiday. I'm talking about Bella Ciao. Yes, Bella Ciao was not invented by La Casa de Papel, aka Money Heist, the very popular TV series by Netflix, but it is an Italian song. The literal translation of the title would be beautiful, bella, feminine, goodbye. However, there is a little note already because those of you who are already a little bit more proficient in Italian will know that ciao can be both a greeting and a goodbye. So we have this double meaning. Now, a little notes on how it was born, because on the internet you will find any theory, any historical reconstruction, you find a lot of information. Now, to put the long story short, the truth is that we are not sure about the origin of this song. We know it is an Italian folk song, okay? Probably was born by mixing several Italian folk songs together, so it was born probably as a variation of something similar, or a mix of songs, so taking the melody, taking the part of the lyrics, mixing the lyrics with other folk songs, and at a certain point Bella Ciao was born. We are not sure, we cannot exactly pinpoint the moment, however. So, it is an Italian folk song dedicated and symbol of the Italian resistance, fighting against the invading army of Nazi Germany, but also against and mainly the Italian fascist regime. In fact, Bella Ciao is first and foremost an anti-fascist song. That's why our Spanish friends really like it, and also I think our French friends. So let's start by saying that what I will present you lyrics wise will be one of the versions of the lyrics. Why? Because probably you know folk songs have a general idea, okay, and you find several versions. There is not really an official version, of course. Well, like according to the family, the region, the city, you find several variations. What I'm going to explain, what I'm going to present you will be the version I know, because yes, as many Italians, I learned this song when I was a child. Why is it that common for people coming from the same region I come from, or a certain region specifically? Because I come from a specific region, which is the northwest region called Piemonte, and it is the one on the border, the one next to France, basically. And most likely Bella Ciao was originated by, like, in my region, so in this northwest region next to France. Again, however, you will find several versions. Despite me liking to think that this comes from my region, of course, I can't be sure 100%. You will find other documents stating otherwise. The issue is that, historically speaking, we don't have enough evidence that can pinpoint for sure where the song was originated. So, as a person from Piemonte, as a Piemontese, for me is from Piemonte, but of course this is not the absolute truth. This is one of the versions. One of the reasons why many people think is from Piemonte is because we have a version very similar to Bella Ciao, but that was sung by the Mondine. Who are the Mondine? Who were the Mondine? The Mondine used to be the women gathering rice in rice fields, because my region, among the other things, is one of the few Italian regions based more on rice than on pasta. In fact, like, I always ate a lot of rice, and probably that's why I really like Asian cuisine, because it hits close to home. And so, of course, since we were eating a lot of rice, because we had a lot of rice fields. And usually we had women gathering the rice from the fields, and they were specifically called mondine. They had a song they used to sing in the rice fields, indeed, Gas, indeed. And they were singing a song that was very similar to Bella Ciao. So, what is how, among the other things, you will hear many people saying, oh, it was sung by this part of the partisans, by this other part of the partisans. The partisans were the fighters of the resistance. But the thing is that most likely this song became the symbol of the partisan fight of the resistance, and thus the liberation, only after the end of the war. So, among the several folklore songs, this one specifically was picked for it to become a symbol of the fight. Why? because we will see in a moment, understanding the lyrics, that the verses, the lines, the lyrics in general are very general. So it is generally a song about fighting for freedom without specifying the belonging to a specific party or political region. Why? Because the liberation is it includes and concerns everyone. There is only one category of people finding Bella Ciao problematic, and these are the fascists, okay? Right now on social media, you are going to see a lot of memes, debates, and whatnot. But one of the most repeated sentences is Bella Ciao è divisiva solo se sei fascista. Bella Ciao is divisive only if you are a fascist. This is what it is going around, just to give you context. And don't worry, I have my tea to spill concerning this 25 aprile specifically, but as usual, we are going to talk about it after the lyrics. So now, priority to the lyrics, as I promised. The song is classic folklore song. We have 6 verses, okay, that are structured always according to the same rhythm and the same structure. So we basically have a line, the repetition of the refrain, if we can call it like that. Then we repeat once again the first line, and then we close the verse. And then we repeat the same structure over and over again. As I already said, this is the version I know, that I learned when I was a child, because to put it in perspective, when I was a child, my grandparents used to teach me how to sing it as the most normal thing in the world. For me, it was the song I used to sing with my grandparents. Then, growing up, when I learned about history, I realized what I was singing. But for me, like, I am biased, I am conditioned, because this is one of the songs of my childhood. So it is inherently positive. There's no way I'm going to see something controversial about this song, so don't even try, okay? Now, as I promised, first verse. Una mattina mi sono alzato. One morning I got up. Oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Oh beautiful goodbye, beautiful goodbye, beautiful goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. Una mattina mi sono alzato e ho trovato l'invasor. One morning I got up and I found the invader. As I promised, notes. This is the version I am used to. However, you can often find, instead of una mattina mi sono alzato, una mattina mi sono svegliato, which means either one morning I got up or I woke up. Okay. The idea, as I was saying, it is exactly the same. Of course, you find it with a little different metrics, a little bit of the word changed. Also because Bella Ciao, it is very common to like, it has versions in dialect, okay? So some versions are just the Italianized versions of the ones in dialect. So sometimes in certain version you might find a metric that sounds a bit weird because probably it is a translation and the metric in dialect work just fine. Then, as I said at the beginning, ciao can be both goodbye and hello. And in my opinion, it is so hard to give you the idea because usually the official translation is with goodbye. But if you think about it, it has a very peculiar nuance because in the first verses, it can mean hello. And in the last verses, it can mean goodbye. Why? Because the story told by Bella Ciao starts with one morning I got up. So what do I do when I get up, I wake up? I greet, ok? And then ho trovato l'invasor. I found the invader, where invasor is the truncated form of invasore, okay, which is invader. Who is the invader originally meant? The Nazist army, of course. The fascist occupation, because let's remember that many region struggles accepting the fascist regime as the official regime in Italy. So it was seen as something imposed, okay? Mainly in certain northern regions. For example, my regions never really particularly appreciated the fascist regime, to be honest. And then we have the second verse. O partigiano, portami via. O partisan, so the fighters fighting against the Nazi fascism, take me away. O bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. O partigiano, portami via, che mi sento di morir. O partisan, take me away, because I feel death approaching. Now, technically, usually you find it written like this, but it should be written like this, because it is the truncated or elided form of poiché or perché, so because or since. In fact, you can translate it, take me away since I feel death approaching, or take him away because I feel death approaching. Now, che mi sento di morir, usually it is translated as because I feel death approaching, where morir, to die, is the truncated form of morire, the infinitive of to die in Italian. Now, the meaning is I feel death approaching, but the literal translation would be something like I feel, mi sento. We talked about the verb sentire several times. It can mean to smell, it can mean to feel on like touch-wise, it can mean to hear. In this case, it is I feel, implied like I am about to die, because mi sento di morir. I feel like I am about to die, okay? Then we have the third verse. E se io muoio da partigiano, and if I die as a partisan, o bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. E se io muoio da partigiano, and if I die as a partisan, tu mi devi seppellir. Then you must bury me. Now, seppellir, as usual, probably you notice that we have this pattern of truncated forms at the end. In fact, once again, we have seppellir instead of seppellire, to bury, okay? To put 6 feet under, okay? Then we have the fourth verse. Seppellire lassù in montagna. So, tu mi devi seppellire lassù in montagna. Bury me up there in the mountain. Oh, bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Seppellire lassù in montagna, sotto l'ombra di un bel fior. Bury me up there in the mountain, under the shade of a beautiful flower. Here we can see one of the cases where we don't have fiore bello, but bel fior. And once again, we have the truncation of fior, which is the truncation of fiore, flower. Now, why in the mountain? Because partisans used often to fight in the mountains. One might think, oh, so in the north, because there is a lot these fake news about the fact that we had partisans almost exclusively in the north, just like implying that the south wasn't fighting. No, the south was fighting, and by the way, this part of the song applies to the whole of Italy, because geographically speaking, Italy is in a location where two tectonics zones, I don't remember exactly the technical term, are colliding, and in fact Italy is full of mountains. We have them in the north, yes, but we have them in the center and in the south. So don't worry, partisans were everywhere, but they were usually associated, their fight, their warfare was mainly associated with fighting in the mountains, also because of course, strategic advantage, because they weren't many. So at that point, you have to get the best you can from the geographical advantage, the field advantage, if you will. And usually the flower representing anti-fascism, partisans, everything related to the fight, the resistance against Nazi fascism, is the poppy, because in mountain, at least in Italy, you find a lot of poppies, and they are red, just like the rose, the red rose that used to be symbol of the socialists, the real ones, but also the communists, because this is true, there were many communists and socialists forming the brigades of the partisans. However, I cannot stress and highlight enough the fact that it wasn't a matter of party, of political beliefs. You are anti-fascist if you're not a fascist, okay? Like, it is, the dichotomy is that simple. It's not about being only communist, only socialist, whatever. It is about being anti-fascist. Simple as. Then we have the fifth verse. E le genti che passeranno, and the people who will pass by, o bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, 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 e le genti che passeranno mi diranno che bel fior. And the people who will pass by will tell me what a beautiful flower. Here, it is interesting to notice that we have one of the rare usage of the plural of la gente. I explained it in other occasions. La gente is a collective noun, okay? But being a collective noun, grammatically, it is considered a singular. So usually we say la gente che passa. This can create a little bit of confusion with English translations because in English people is plural. So of course the conjugation of the verbs needs to match the grammatical number, and thus while in Italian the verbs are conjugated singularly, in English they are conjugated plurally. This is one of the rare cases where also in Italian we conjugate it plurally, because le genti is the plural of la gente. It is a plural you usually find in songs, poems, lyrics in general, not much in the colloquial spoken language or generally in the spoken language, but it is interesting to find it for once. And once again, we finish the verse with fior, as we said, the truncated form of fiore, flower. And then, sixth and last verse, e questo è il fiore del partigiano, and this is the flower of the partisan. O bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. E questo è il fiore del partigiano morto per la libertà. And this is the flower of the partisan, implied who died for freedom. Now, as I was explaining, usually the flower, it is represented with, specifically speaking, a poppy, because it is red, opposed to the black of usually related to fascism, because the color of fascism was black, while as a contraposition, the one of the resistance was often red. One of the colors of the Italian flag, as you can notice by the name of my channel. So, due to this, it is very common finding posters, visual representation dedicated to the 25 Aprile, where you have, yes, the partisan, but you usually see the poppy. That's why, because through Bella Ciao and through the vegetation of Italian mountains, the flower growing from the partisan, the flower of freedom, is in fact the poppy. Now, as I said at the beginning, the fact that we have ciao, okay, works very well, because we have the partisan getting up, waking up in the morning, so beating, greeting his he's a woman, he's beautiful. In Italian we would say la sua bella, which literally means he's beautiful. Implied girl, woman, person, I don't know. But la sua bella is an Italian expression that is nowadays not that used, but it was used more in the past. So we have the partisan waking up, getting up, greeting his lover, and telling her, because Bella is feminine, that he found the invader. So here we don't know if it is the woman or the lover or another, like one partisan talking with another. Works both way. Also because we had many women partisans, by the way. Because I know that it can be confusing because partigiano is masculine knight. But we also had many women who fought in the resistance. So here, basically, the singer, the protagonist says, "Partisan, take me away because I feel death approaching." Here it seems like something looming, but in my opinion can also be interpreted, and it is better to interpret it like, I am about to die, but because I want to fight for a good cause. So like, I feel that approaching because it means we are about to go and fight. But that's okay, because if I die as a partisan, you have to bury me in the mountain, under the shade, under the shadow of a beautiful flower. So the people who will pass by will tell, what a beautiful flower, and this is the flower of the partisan who died for freedom. So, because that flower is the symbol of freedom and resistance. And that's why, as I was saying, you will find a lot of graphical representation with the poppy. And for the same reason, that's why at the end, since basically it is the partisan bidding farewell because he or she knows they are going to die, they bid farewell. And that's why, in my opinion, ciao works so well, and in the translations is a little bit lost in translation because it loses a bit this nuance. Okay, so that was the lyrics of Bella Ciao. At least now you can watch Money Heist and understand what the meaning of the song. Now, gossip, guys. I'm here to spill the tea and I have like a goddamn barrel of tea. Swear to God. I'm fired up. Let's go. I'm also losing my voice probably, but it is okay. So, what happened? Oh, what happened? What happened? Now, unless you live under a rock, you might have noticed that the Pope died. And you might tell me, but Silvia, how is this related to the 25 Aprile? Well, this is crazy, guys. This is crazy. Now, usually it is normal when an important person, okay, or a tragedy happens, like terroristic attacks. It is common in many countries, so in Italy as well, declare a mourning day, ok, un giorno di lutto nazionale. a national mourning day. Usually the flags are put at half of the pole, okay, where you put the flag. We often do 1 minute of silence and things like that. Normally, when a tragedy, a death of an important person happens, you declare 1 day of mourning, okay? Papa Francesco, Pope Francis, the latest Pope so far, died on the 20th. Let me check. È morto a Pasquetta. 21st. Let's go. Okay, he died on the 21st. I was pretty much sure because the amount of memes about the death of the Pope around Easter was out of hand. So, what did the Italian government do? What probably you don't know because, of course, it is already hard to follow politics in your country. I understand you don't know the political situation in other countries. So, just to give you an idea, in Italy we go to vote like in many other countries, and the latest time we went to vote, the right parties got a lot of votes. Now, I'm not going to bore you concerning how the law regulating the voting system works because my technicalities, I understand. I like these things as a jurist. I understand you don't care. Fair point. But to put it in perspective, how does it work? It works that once Italians go to vote, according to the percentage of each party sends a certain amount of people in the parliament. Our parliament, it is divided into sections, camere, we say camere in Italian, which are called Camera dei Deputati and Senato, the deputies and the Senate, the deputy section and the Senate, something like that. I never remember the translations in English, by the way. So, once the representative go to the parliament, they have to find an agreement. This agreement means that a good amount of the representatives ended up in the parliament needs to find a coalition. Normally, if one party or a coalition running together during the elections arrives with a majority, not much problem. But we are weird creatures, so what actually often happens is that we have a lot of different parties, okay? Nobody has the majority, so at certain point you have to play 5D chess to convince someone else to group with you so you can form the government, okay, the executive. Which is basically the ones who are going to detain the executive power. In democracies, power is divided in 3 powers, which are judicial, so giudiziario, the judges, and everything with them. Legislativo, so the parliament, all together making the laws. and the esecutivo, which is the government which has the power of enforcing the laws. So, parliament makes laws, executive enforces the laws, judicial judges that the laws are applied properly, that they are applied in the first place, that they don't go against the constitution. So you have this division. The executive is the government, so we don't have the prime minister, we don't have the primo ministro, we have the chief of the government. For us right now is Giorgia Meloni, capo del governo, and then Giorgia Meloni has all the ministers helping her, okay? However, there is a problem. The party of Giorgia Meloni, Fratelli d'Italia, yes, it is called just like our national anthem, sadly, her party didn't get enough votes. So what do? You have to go to other parties and find a middle way, like do compromises with other parties so you can have the majorities. She did it with other two parties. They are called Lega and Forza Italia. So they put themselves together, and we got an executive which is from the right, okay? Now, the right wing. What is the problem with that? That, and I'm not joking, I'm not exaggerating, the party of Giorgia Meloni has fascist roots. Again, I'm not exaggerating. She comes from a party which used to be called Movimento Sociale Italiano, MSI, and it was the neo-fascist party born after the liberation. Because, of course, the 25 Aprile I'm talking about is the 25 Aprile of the year 1945, okay? What happened after that date? Fascism got kicked out. We had to make a new parliament, a new constitution. In fact, our constitution technically was born in 1948 because they needed a couple of years to come out with a new constitution because the previous one we had was quite problematic. Luckily, the good thing about whatever happened during the World War II is that we, just like Germany, came out with a pretty good, solid constitution. In fact, it is probably one of the few things protecting us right now. German friends probably will understand, at least the jurist one, because basically the Italian constitution has 13 articles that are considered blocked. They cannot be changed unless you dismantle the Italian Republic. So, in order to change those core principles, you should delete from the world, from existence, Italy as a republic. This, of course, should, to happen, we would need a civil war, dismantling our state, our republic. And that's the only way to change the core values and principles of our constitution. Now, one of the discussions happened during the formation of the new constitution. I love that I'm basically doing a history of law, of Italian law lesson. But anyway, so at certain point, our padri e madri costituenti, So the people who wrote the Constitution had to decide, what do we do with the remaining fascists, because they didn't kill all of them. And concerning that, there is a whole part of history and legal history, guys. I had to have a lot of exams in my life, and like a lot of things happened. So what happened? They had to decide, what do we do with the fascists? And the answer they achieved, okay, was, we are not going to kill them, okay, or to oppress them, because our point is to prove that we are different from them. So instead, we are going to win by allowing them to participate in the democratic game, because democracy, to be good, needs to demonstrate to be able to work without oppressing others. So we are not going to win by oppressing them, excluding them, ostracize them. We are going to win demonstrating we are better than them. Sadly, Pertini wasn't right concerning that point, and in fact, here we are with a fascist. In fact, like, and you could tell me, but in Italy you have a law against the apology of fascism. Guys, I wrote a 10-page papers concerning this point. It is a very complex situation law-wise, but yes, we have it. Long story short, it doesn't work. And we ended up having at the, like, in our government, a party that was born from the cinder of the fascist party. What is the problem? The problem is that now the president of the Senate, Ignazio La Russa, you know, when you have people that are very much into anime or like a TV series or something, and they have a room with the action figures, the mangas or the books or the, I don't know, the volumes of the comics, okay? Those rooms that are basically dedicated to that character, that series, that specific topic. Okay, Ignazio La Russa, the chief of the Senate, which is basically the second most powerful personality role we have in Italy after Sergio Mattarella, which is the Presidente della Repubblica, okay? This guy, Ignazio La Russa, has that room, that fanboy room, but with fascist relics, with, for example, like statues of Benito Mussolini. I'm not making this up. This is something that is actually happening. So, situation is a bit tense in Italy right now, mainly during the 25 Aprile. Why? Because since 1945, we have people celebrating the liberation and the resistance. On the 25th of April, we really have celebrations, like you don't go to school, you don't go to work, you go in the squares and you sing Bella Ciao alongside a lot of other songs representative of this celebration, holiday, festivity, as you want to call it. And we have celebrations, and every fucking time we have those parties complaining about the fact that, but no, because also communists did bad things. And of course everyone is like, bro, we are not communist, we are anti-fascist, it is different, okay? Stop making up bullshit because you need to complain about something because tiro del culo. And so, like, I swear to God, every fucking year there is this problem. Now, back to the beginning. why is the death of the Pope relevant in all of this? Because the little shits said, oh, tonight, like, this 25 Aprile, we can't really have too much, like, too many celebrations for respect to the Pope because we have to mourn his death. And everyone is like, bitch! Bro, he died on the 21st. Like, let's not bullshit around, please. Like, we have to mourn, and in fact it became a meme because I don't remember who exactly said that, but one of the ministers invited Italians to celebrate the 25 Aprile, but with sobriety, con sobrietà. And in fact, if you are into Italian community and you are seeing a lot of memes concerning celebrating 25 Aprile con sobrietà, now you know why. So basically everyone is mocking them, li stanno prendendo per il culo, as rightfully so. And the silly things is that, of course, our government doesn't know about the Streisand effect, apparently. And what actually happened this year, also because this year was a fundamental anniversary, because it was the 80th anniversary of the liberation, because it happens in the 1945. This year is 2025. So, of course, the 80th anniversary, like, guys, 80 anni di liberazione. We have to keep fighting to keep them going, you know? We need to keep the counter alive, in these days. And so what actually happened is that people got so disgusted by that affirmation about humanity that, like, now people are celebrating even harder, okay? It's like, don't touch the red button, don't touch the red button, I'm going to press it so goddamn hard now that you told me to not to. And this is pretty much why everyone is quite wild. You are going to find a lot of memes about sobriety, a lot of memes about mourning Papa Francesco, also because we know that Papa Francesco was a anti-fascist, so of course saying that you shouldn't celebrate the 25 Aprile because as a sign of respect towards Papa Francesco is one of the biggest bullshit I ever heard in my life, since I have memory, to be honest, because like the pagliacciometro is over the top, like is reaching the stars, because I had low expectations, but goddamn. And in fact, another meme you can find around is, it's not really a meme, it's a quote from Porco Rosso. I don't know how it is called originally, but a very famous movie by Studio Ghibli, where the very famous sentence quote comes from meglio maiale che fascista, better a pig than a fascist. There, full, it's everywhere, that scene, it's everywhere, I'm very happy about it. Another one is you are going to see the things upside down. I have to explain this as well. Okay. When we Italian talk about fascists, okay, we usually write the things upside down because the only good fascist is a fascist upside down. Why? Because when we got and we actuated the liberation on the 25 Aprile, the 25th of April, but also when we captured and executed Benito Mussolini with his entourage, After killing him, after executing him, we hanged him and other fascists upside down. It is very famous the picture of the body, the corpse of Benito Mussolini hanging upside down in Piazzale Loreto. Piazzale Loreto, if you find it in the memes, in the posts, now you know why, which is basically like saying Loreto Square. What else? So we have sobriety, like 25 aprile, very demure, very mindful. Piazzale Loreto, things upside down. In fact, I have to put on Discord my sticker with Mussolini, hahaha, mi ha capovolto. Another very common thing you're going to see, of course, is the poppy, celebrations, pictures of celebration, people singing Bella Ciao, or other folk songs. What else? Some poems. You will see probably videos of celebrations in several parts of Italy. The meme about the fact that Giorgia Meloni ran away in Kazakhstan, if I remember correctly, because she normally what happens on the 25 aprile, that the capo del governo, the chief of the government, so of the executive, and president of the republic, il presidente della repubblica, which right now are presidente della repubblica Sergio Mattarella, capo del governo Giorgia Meloni. In this case, normally these two roles, I don't know really how to call them, queste due figure politiche, normally have to like have speeches, okay, participate in the celebrations and whatnot, because this is one of the dates, okay. 25 aprile is one of the most important holidays, probably the most important holiday alongside 2 giugno. We're going to talk about 2 giugno, don't worry, I'll get there as well. So like it is fundamental to give speeches, declarations, say something about these holidays. Sergio Mattarella did it in Genoa, because if I remember correctly, Genoa was one of the few Italian cities who got liberated by the residents, so without the help of the Allies. But I'm not sure, don't quote me on that. And he went there and had his speech there. Meanwhile, Giorgia Meloni ran in Kazakhstan because she had a very important diplomatic meeting. Fundamental, I guess, couldn't be changed the date. So this is another meme, of course. Another one, as I said, is the only ones thinking Bella Ciao is controversial are the fascists. And right now in social media, like Threads, for example, because they are written, but in all the social media, it is like an exchange of insults. Beautiful. Simply beautiful. So proud of human kind right now. And yeah, pretty much that was it for this 25 aprile. of course, the stream was more about the song. All the information I try to give are very simplified. Of course, I invite you to watch videos specifically about the history of this celebration, the history of the resistance, books. If you need books, videos, whatever, I give advice in the comments. We have, for example, authors specialized in this time span concerning this historical event. So if you are interested, I can provide suggestions concerning books. I can find you videos in Italian if you want. It's not a problem. So just ask and I will provide. That said, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you will enjoy singing out loud with even more awareness Bella Ciao, if you want to. That said, let me know what you think in the comments. Grazie everyone for watching and arrivederci and buon 25 aprile.